Welcome to Pushback. I'm Aaron Maté. I recently came back from a trip to the Middle East where I was able to go to Syria and to Lebanon. I'll have more on my trip to Syria soon, but today I wanted to bring you some voices that I encountered in Lebanon. These are 4 young Palestinian refugees from families that were expelled by Israel in 1948 and 1967. And I wanted to get their perspective on what's happening now in Palestine, with the world's attention once again focused on Palestine, Israel launching the attack on Gaza, massacring civilians, destroying civilian buildings, and Palestinians resisting from Gaza to the West Bank to inside 1948 Palestine. And I wanted to hear what it was like as refugees, as young refugees in the diaspora, living just miles away from where their families once lived and where they now cannot return because Israel will not let them, an experience for millions of Palestinian refugees all around the world. I also wanted to bring their perspective, especially to a U.S. audience, because these 4 young women were supposed to take part before COVID in something called the Nakba Tour, bringing refugees and the descendants of refugees to the U.S. to talk to an American audience about what it's like to be a Palestinian refugee. But their visas to come here and speak were denied by the U.S. government, and they were never given the chance. And then COVID hit, so there hasn't been an effort to reschedule since. But I do hope one day that they are able to come to the U.S. to share their experiences with a U.S. audience. In the meantime, we're going to hear from them today. Their names in order are Hanin, Youssef, Ruba, Abdel, Jawad, Hiba, Ashkar, and Samar, Mohammad. They work in fields ranging from education, engineering, teaching, design. And I wanted to share with you what they had to say about Palestine and what it's like being a young refugee watching their homeland being bombarded by Israel and oppressed by Israel, and what that's like to be in the diaspora as young refugees. This is their voices from Beirut, Lebanon.
Hi, so I'm Hanin Youssef, a Palestinian refugee in Lebanon, and I'm originally from the north of Palestine, Safad, and I'm currently living in Lebanon, as I mentioned. So regarding what's happening now in Sheikh Jarrah, I think it's the start of the right to return to Palestine. The social media had shed light on the case. People from all over the world are seeing what's happening in Palestine. So now the issue and the case is more clear for people, and they know more about the issue. So this, I think, is the start point to get back to Palestine and to work on this right and this hope. I think it's really different before than after what's happening in Sheikh Jarrah. People are more motivated, are more educated about the issue, especially here in Palestinian camps in Lebanon. The young generation are knowing more about the case. The younger ones are getting educated about the issue. And people that know nothing about the issue went and searched for it. So now they are more motivated and have the energy to defend their right to return. One of the greatest challenges is the issue of working and living in Lebanon. We cannot have a property, we cannot own a land or a house, we cannot work in more than 70 jobs in Lebanon. We get educated, we get our certificates and degrees from university, and we end up unemployed. We can't work in any business or any NGO or anything that's open for others or Lebanese or any nationality in Lebanon. I think people should go and read more about the Palestinian case and know the history of Palestine, and they will know by themselves that Palestine existed hundreds and millions years before Israel, and Israel has no right to exist, as they mention. And they should know that Palestinian refugees have critical cases and have challenges and problems all over the world, especially those who live in Lebanon. They have no rights and no even basic rights to have.
I'm Ruba Abdel Jawad. I'm a civil and environmental engineer. I'm from Lidda, but actually I'm residing in Lebanon. I'm born and raised here. And what I want to share with you is my thoughts about what's happening today in Palestine and specifically in Sheikh Jarrah. And I feel like that what's happening today is like a trigger and a motivation to the right to return to our homeland, because Palestinians all over the world from different countries, whether the Middle East or European or American countries, are standing for their country because they are showing support even on social media. And though that so many misinformation has flourished on social media, but still the truth would be clear. Well, actually, my family, I, and all the Palestinian families here in Lebanon have lived this for many times. Many wars on Gaza Strip and on other regions in Palestine have occurred before, so we have lived this, but we still have hope, and we always aim and we always think that Palestine will be free one day. What I want to say is that we Palestinians here in Lebanon are all on the same boat. But you have to know is that Palestinians here, whether 1948 or 1967, are facing so much challenges here in Lebanon, and somehow there are some differences among us. Well, I'm one of the 1967 refugees here, and what I face is somehow different than the 1948 ones. Let me start by the right to work, for example. 1948 refugees here in Lebanon are allowed to work, but they are restricted to a number of occupations. It was around 72 in the past, and now it's around 37 now. I mean, 37 professions, they are prohibited from working. However, the 1967 ones are not allowed to work legally unless they issue a work residence permit, and of course, this has so many conditions. Second, the 1967 Palestinians here do not have identity cards. They are forced to issue residence permits, and these residence permits must be renewed every year or every 3 months or every 6 months. It depends on the residence permits you have issued. However, the 1948 ones have permanent cards, residence cards, but they are also facing so many challenges, like the need to get a visa in order to travel to any country. And the third is that we both 1967 or 1948 face challenges on the medical treatments here in Lebanon. We do not have the right to have access to medical treatments unless if we are under the UNRWA's mandate. And UNRWA doesn't always cover the medical expenses. So we are, let me say, we are obliged to seek medical treatments on our own expense, and which is mostly too much costly for us, and we cannot afford it. Well, I aim from all the audience and whoever is listening to my message and to my colleagues' message is to keep fighting for Palestine, to keep seeking for the truth, because Palestine is not just a normal case, it's a big case. It's a 73-year-old issue and a conflict that must be resolved.
Hello, my name is Hiba, Hiba Ashkar, and I'm from Haifa. I'm a Palestinian refugee that lives in Lebanon right now. It's a nice country, but unfortunately, it does not treat Palestinian refugees as nice as it is. There are a lot of things that we're missing that are basic human rights. For example, we are not allowed to work in like 72 careers. We're not free to own a house. For example, there are only specific places that we can live in, or we can rent outside of these specific places, which are the refugee camps. Recently, a lot of the youth of Palestinian youth have been having this internal conflict about whether they should keep on talking about the case, or whether the Palestinian case, or whether they need to go after their own living and to support themselves. But what's happening lately in Palestine have demolished this idea that there might be a chance that Palestinian youth might forget Palestine. It just disappeared and vanished. because it was like a wake-up call for everyone, uh, in a way that what's happening, no, this is the truth, this is reality. There is an occupation, an Israeli occupation, and we are Palestinians that have the right to live in that country, to be with our people. It Even though it was far away from us, it connected us to our people again, to our history again, and made us think in different ways and in different point of views, and to give whatever we are doing to this cause, to this country, to these people, to understand how to use the social media that's trying to quiet our voices down, to spread this cause, to spread the awareness about this cause, what's happening in this country. The way that people are waking up more to the truth is very important, and it's very noticeable and can be seen throughout the several social media platforms. So yeah, almost every Palestinian right now is talking about the Palestinian cause in one way or another, whether it's about boycotting the Israeli products or any company that supports Israel, or whether about or whether in school or whatever. Everyone's talking about it the way they talk about it, the way they know how to talk about it. It's not supposed to be, it shouldn't be a political talk. It's just the idea that when you're sitting with your friends and someone talks about it and everyone's expressing the way they feel, is just enough to show that these people are talking about this. These people did not forget about this cause. So yeah, being a Palestinian refugee in Lebanon is like, it's like you're in a race, you know. You're always trying to run after your own life. At the same time, you have an identity you need to protect. It feels like a mission that just because you prevented me from having rights, basically human rights, that does not mean you can affect my identity. I'm still a Palestinian refugee on the Lebanese lands, and I'm gonna chase after what I want, whether you stop me, no matter how much you stop me. And so yeah, I think the best way to describe it is being in a race. You're always chasing after another, whether it's being the Lebanese community being racist towards you. Of course, not all of the Lebanese community, but a part of it being racist towards you, having stereotypes against you, like looking at you, oh wallah, you're Palestinian refugee, you look decent. So I was like, am I supposed to look like a trash or something? So yeah, this is you deal with it. Not only, it's not just because whenever you open the Palestinian case, it's shown. No, it's shown everywhere, even at workplaces, wherever you go. There's gotta be a trigger that shows that someone might be with you or someone might be against you. My students are from different backgrounds. I'll be talking about the Palestinian refugee students. They are always in a conflict, if you want to say, about how they want to do what they are doing exactly, how their identity is gonna develop. They're always confused. They face a lot of social gap between them and their Lebanese friends. Like, oh, my friends can do this and that, I can do this and that, and they grow up to know why, and they feel kind of, upset about it, that they can't have a normal dreams or normal life. At the same time, the curriculum that they put and they place does not talk about Palestine enough. It talks about everything except Palestine. So that's something that I always try to do in my classes, is that I give examples about Palestine. I talk about Palestine. My projects are about Palestine. It needs to be talked about more and more. right now this generation is growing up to the idea that you need to study, work, and get out of Lebanon. Okay, where's Palestine between these three? You need to insert it in whatever way you can. They need to understand that this is not what they're meant to have. It's not just having a nationality, it will make your life better. No, you need to understand why are you here? Why are you in Lebanon? Why are you chasing after a nationality Aslan in the first place? Why are you going after a better life? They need to understand this, not just with the idea that I need to get out. Why you need to get out? Why are you Aslan running away? I have one message that I need, like everyone should search more. Do not believe the media, what they show you. The media does not show everything. You need to search your way about what's happening in Palestine, and you need to see the truth as it is. It's not like a country and two people are fighting over religious reasons. No, it's just there's an occupation that's trying to steal the land of the original people, and they are trying to resist this occupation. This is the truth. Search for the truth and see it as it is, and do not try to like glorify it or something. See it as it is.
I'm Samar Mohammad. I'm a Palestinian refugee from Lebanon. What I want to say about Palestine, that what happened lately in Sheikh al-Jarrah was a waking up call for Palestinians across all the world, in Lebanon, in Syria, and 48 lands in Gaza and in the West Bank, and of course in Quds, to work for the Palestinian cause. And it was good for publicity of the cause because the world did not know about the truth of Palestine. And the social media plays an important role in sharing the truth and sharing what's really happening in Palestine, in Sheikh al-Jarrah and Al-Aqsa. And the Gaza war was also a good for us because we were in control. Hamas was in control of the situation, and we proved that the armed resistance is the only solution for us, for the Palestinians to exist, for us to live, for us to return our land and to go back to our land. To be honest, I don't want to talk to any political figure or any president across the world because we know them for 73 years. We know that they are not qualified to talk. The only way to talk and the only way to exist and live is through our weapon. And Hamas proves that the only solution for us is armed resistance. And when we have the power, then Israel accept our condition for ceasefire. That's why I don't care about Biden. I know he's supporting Israel very, very well and very strongly, and he's giving so much money for them. But I know that we have the power, we have the motivation to fight them, even though we have no resources and we have no financial support. So I ask all the Palestinians to not to try to talk to any president or any political figure. We only have our weapon, and that's it. It was great for us to see that our people are working together and acting together to serve for our cause. But personally, I felt like a little bit useless because I don't have the power except for social media, and it's a super powerful one. But like, I want to be in the land. I want to fight physically the Israeli people. But unfortunately, I couldn't do so. But it was great to see that our people are working together for the same cause. To be honest, it's kind of miserable because we have no civil rights, we have no political rights, we barely are surviving. We're not living, to be honest. But that's not making us like, okay, khalas, we don't want to work for Palestine. It's giving us more motivation to work for our land because we believe that we deserve to live. And the life we are living, it's not for us. Like, we are Palestinians. We have a wonderful land, which is Palestine, and we deserve to live. But we are surviving. We are doing our best to come out of this situation.